If you wanted to know exactly how a rival superpower plans to fight the next global conflict, you'd probably assume you need, like, a team of deep cover spies.
Right, or some hacked secure server.
Exactly. Or, a defector carrying a briefcase full of classified microfilms. We have this culturally ingrained idea that military strategy is a pitch black room.
And we were just kind of squinting through the keyhole, hoping to see something.
Yeah, precisely. But what if they just posted their entire shopping list on the internet?
Like literally out in the open.
Right. What if, instead of hiding their blueprint for the future of warfare, they published over 9,000 highly specific receipts detailing every single artificial intelligence weapon they want to buy?
It completely flips the script on how we understand intelligence gathering. I mean, we aren't analyzing blurry satellite photos of a secret desert facility and guessing what's inside.
No, we are reading the actual literal procurement contracts for the technology going into that facility.
It's the absolute definition of hiding in plain sight.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Consider this your exclusive masterclass. We are your instructors today, and our syllabus focuses on just an extraordinary document.
It really is. It's a February 2026 issue brief published by the Center for Security and Emerging Technology.
Or CSET for short.
Yeah.
And the report is titled China's Military AI Wishlist.
Wishlist is honestly the perfect phrase for it.
It really is. So the mission for our session today is fascinating. You, the listener, along with us, are going to examine a data set of over 9,000 publicly available open source requests for proposal.
We call those RFPs in the procurement world.
Right, RFPs. And these were published by China's People's Liberation Army, the PLA, between January 2023 and December 2024.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. 9,000 shopping lists written by a major global military.
It's staggering. They detail the precise algorithms, sensors, and, data fusion platforms they are actively trying to acquire.
So we are going to walk you through this material, building a complete, highly detailed picture of the PLA's technological ambitions.
But a quick heads up before we really dive into the data, we are going to be looking at raw military strategy here today.
Very raw. It covers scenarios involving Taiwan, the United States, and, well, extensive mass surveillance.
Yeah. And our job today as your instructors isn't to take political sides, validate state policies, or endorse any of these strategies.
Absolutely not. We are just acting as your analysts, breaking down exactly what the data says the PLA is building, impartially.
Exactly. We are analyzing the architecture of their ambition. Nothing more, nothing less.
And to understand the architecture of these 9,000 RFPs, you really have to understand the foundational paradigm shift the PLA is currently undergoing.
Right. They view military evolution in 3 distinct steps, don't they?
Yeah, 3 steps. The first step is mechanization.
So that's basically the Industrial Revolution applied to warfare, right?
Precisely. It's the integration of advanced machinery. Tanks replacing horses, dreadnoughts replacing wooden ships, fighter jets taking over the sky.
It's all about the physical hardware of warfare. And, most modern militaries mastered this throughout the 20th century.
Right. Then the second step is informatization.
Informatization. That's a bit of a mouthful.
It is, yeah. But this is the transition to networks and data. It's not just about having a heavily armored tank anymore.
It's about having a tank that can, securely communicate its GPS coordinates to a command center.
Exactly. Or receive radar tracks from a nearby aircraft and share logistical data. It is the complete digitization of the battlefield.
Which brings us to their current obsession, step 3, intelligentization.
Yes. This is the utilization of emerging tech, specifically artificial intelligence.
Because they needed to process the overwhelming tsunami of data they gathered during that informatization phase, right?
Right. They have all this data now, and humans just can't process it fast enough.
To put this in everyday terms for you listening, think of it like this. Mechanization is the landline telephone. Informatization is the smartphone connected to the 5G internet.
That's a good way to look at it.
And intelligentization is, it's an AI agent living on that phone that reads your emails, analyzes your calendar, books your flights, and adjusts your home thermostat before you even realize you need a vacation.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy. And the PLA views this intelligentization not just as a software upgrade, but as the core enabler of 2 overarching military doctrines.
Right, let's get into those. The first one is system destruction warfare.
Yeah, so the traditional concept of war is often attrition, right? Two armies grinding against each other until one runs out of troops or ammunition.
Just a brutal slog.
Exactly. System destruction warfare abandons that completely. The goal is to paralyze the adversary by striking their critical nodes.
So you blind their early warning radars, you sever their satellite uplinks, you corrupt their command and control networks.
Right. I like to use the boxer analogy here.
Oh yeah, the boxer analogy is great. Explain that one.
So you don't have to step into the ring and trade punches with the heavyweight champion if you can just sneak into the basement, turn off the lights in the arena, and cut the cord to his corner's microphone.
Right, because he might be stronger, but if he's blind and deaf, he can't fight.
Exactly. And the second doctrine is multi-domain precision warfare.
This is where the AI really becomes the primary weapon, isn't it?
It is. It involves using advanced algorithms to find those specific weak points across land, air, sea, space, and the cyber domain.
And then striking them simultaneously with absolute precision.
Right. And to execute that kind of highly synchronized warfare, the PLA uses a framework that the U.S. Pentagon refers to as C5I SRT.
C5ISRT. It's a massive acronym, I know, but it is the backbone of everything we are going to explore today.
So it stands for command control, communications, computers, cyber, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and targeting.
Wow. Okay, let me catch my breath.
I know it's a lot, but it represents the complete life cycle of a military operation.
Right, so you use sensors to perceive the environment that's intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance.
Then you rely on computers and communications to transport that raw data back.
You deploy AI to synthesize the data into a clear picture of the battlefield, which is command and control.
And finally, you use targeting to execute a precision strike. It's fundamentally an AI-accelerated version of the ODA loop.
Observe, orient, decide, and act.
Exactly. But I want to talk about how the researchers at CSAT actually managed to analyze this data, because the methodology is almost as interesting as the findings themselves.
Oh, absolutely. When you have 9,000 highly technical Chinese military contracts, you can't just hand them to a team of human translators and expect results in a reasonable time frame.
Right. The technical jargon alone would cause a massive bottleneck. So CSAT used AI to study the AI wish list.
That is so meta. How do they do it?
They utilized large language models, specifically GPT 4.1 Mini, to translate the titles and text of these documents into English and extract the key project details.
So they essentially built a custom pipeline where the LLM was prompted to identify the specific C5ISRT use cases within all that bureaucratic language of military procurement.
Right. And only after the AI structured the data did human analysts step in to manually review and verify the findings.
That brings up a really fascinating dynamic. We are basically using commercial, off-the-shelf American AI models to decode the military ambitions of a rival superpower.
It is deeply ironic.
But, you know, as I read through the CSET report, a couple of details about these actual contracts really jumped out at me.
What were they?
Well, first, the budgets for a lot of these requests are relatively small. We aren't looking at multi-billion-dollar mega projects here.
No, not at all.
And second, the acquisition timelines are incredibly aggressive. I mean, we are talking about delivery windows of 3 to 6 months for working technology.
Yeah, that's lightning fast for defense procurement.
Right. So if I'm a listener, I'm probably wondering, if a military is issuing cheap, short-term contracts, is this really a grand, coordinated master plan?
Or are we just looking at a massive bureaucracy throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping a few noodles stick?
Exactly. What do you think?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the spaghetti throwing actually is the master plan.
Wait, really? How does that work?
It's a deliberate strategy of rapid prototyping. If you look at traditional defense acquisitions, whether in Beijing or Washington, they are notoriously sluggish.
Oh, yeah. It can take a decade and billions of dollars to develop, test, and field a new weapons system.
Right. So by issuing small, rapid-fire contracts, the PLA is intentionally bypassing its own bulky, traditional defense conglomerates.
They are essentially adopting the Silicon Valley venture capital model. You know, move fast, break things, and fail cheaply.
Exactly. They are leaning heavily on a policy called military-civil fusion, or MCF.
And the goal there is to tap directly into the agile commercial tech sector, right?
Yes. Some of the RFPs in this dataset explicitly state that bidding companies only need to have been in operation for 3 years.
Wow. 3 years. They want the hungry startups.
They do. This aggressive, rapid iteration approach assumes a high failure rate. They expect many of these 3-month projects to produce absolutely nothing of value.
But the ones that do succeed can be instantly scaled and integrated.
Right. And that completely recontextualizes how we should view a 9,000 document wish list.
It's not a final polished order from a defense catalog. It's a massive diversified portfolio of bets.
Exactly. So now that we understand how they are buying the tech, let's start looking at what they actually want to build with it.
Let's do it. Let's start with the very top of the military hierarchy. How do they plan to use AI as the brain of their operations?
Which falls under command and control.
Right.
So, decision-making in modern warfare is ultimately an exercise in managing extreme information overload. At every echelon, commanders are just drowning in disparate sources of data.
And the PLA is aggressively seeking AI-enabled decision support systems, or AIDSS, to handle this.
Yes. The function of these systems is to ingest an ocean of information, make sense of it in real time, and offer actionable recommendations to human leaders.
But the scale they are aiming for is staggering. Like, let's look at their requests for strategic awareness. They aren't just asking for software to track enemy troop movements or logistics. They're asking for systems that utilize deep web crawling and big data mining.
Right. They want algorithms that ingest global news feeds, social media chatter, economic data, and business filings.
To predict social unrest, political tensions, and even natural disasters before they fully materialize.
It is an attempt to construct a literal predictive engine for global geopolitics.
Which is mind-blowing.
One specific RFP actually asked for an AI system designed to dynamically display the development of major international events and correlate that evolution with geographic data.
They are asking for large foundation models capable of establishing a, what do they call it, a multi-model collaborative environment.
Right, multi-model collaborative environment.
Let me stop you there, because that is one of those phrases that just sounds like corporate buzzword bingo.
It really does.
What does that actually mean in the context of a military command center?
Well, it refers to multimodal data fusion. Historically, military intelligence was heavily siloed.
Right, you had radar operators looking at blips on one screen.
And signals intelligence officers listening to intercepted radio calls in another room.
And imagery analysts staring at satellite photos somewhere else.
Yeah.
And a human commander had to mentally stitch all those separate inputs together in their head.
Exactly. Multimodal AI does that stitching automatically and instantaneously.
Okay.
The AI is simultaneously processing a live video feed from a drone, static infrared images, spoken audio from intercepted comms, written text from an open-source news report, and even raw computer code.
And it synthesizes all these different modalities into a single, coherent situational awareness dashboard.
Yes.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. I like to think of it like the logic behind a self-driving car, but applied to global warfare.
Oh, I like that. Go on.
So a self-driving car doesn't just use a single camera to look at the painted lines on the road, right?
Yeah.
It uses radar to check the distance of the car ahead.
Right.
It uses LiDAR to build a 3D map of pedestrians, GPS to know the route, and microphones to listen for approaching ambulance sirens.
And it combines all those different senses instantly to decide whether to brake or accelerate.
Exactly. The PLA wants an AI that does that, but instead of navigating city traffic, it's navigating a battlefield.
That is an excellent analogy. The system isn't just presenting data, it's presenting context.
And the RFPs show they want this capability pushed down to the tactical level as well, don't they?
They do. There was a highly specific request for a collaborative tactical cloud.
A tactical cloud, what's the requirement there?
The requirement stated this cloud must handle the simultaneous control of over 80 airborne assets across a front of over 200 miles with extremely low response latency.
Wait, managing 80 autonomous drones at once?
Managing 80 autonomous aircraft simultaneously, yes. Ensuring they share sensor data, avoid mid-air collisions, and coordinate strikes over a 200-mile area.
That is simply beyond human cognitive capacity. You absolutely need an AI-driven decision support system to orchestrate that level of complexity.
But as we look at this intense focus on AI making the decisions, the CSAT report highlights a really fascinating, almost psychological angle to these procurements.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. The PLA isn't just buying AIDSS to process data faster, are they?
No. They're heavily investing in these tools specifically to compensate for perceived weaknesses in their own human officer corps.
That is wild. It reveals a significant vulnerability in their military culture, doesn't it?
It really does. The PLA has historically operated with a rigid, highly centralized command structure.
So they do not possess the same tradition of delegating authority and initiative to lower-level officers that you see in Western militaries.
Exactly. In Western militaries, adaptability on the ground is highly prized. But there is a documented stated concern within the PLA's own literature regarding whether their commanders possess the experience and agility to manage multi-domain operations.
So they are literally trying to engineer their way out of a human resource problem.
Pretty much. They don't trust their middle management to make snap decisions in the chaos of battle.
So they just want to hand a tablet to that commander that says, based on 10 million data points, the optimal move is to deploy the drone swarm to Sector 4.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've established how this AI brain processes millions of data points to make a decision. But, a brain is useless if it can't interact with the physical world.
Right. It needs eyes to find the threat and hands to neutralize it.
Which brings us to the next section of the source document, targeting. How the PLA plans to physically strike its adversaries across multiple domains.
In military doctrine, targeting is a highly specific, multi-step chain. It involves finding the target, fixing its exact location, tracking its movement.
Selecting the appropriate weapon to engage it.
Right. Then executing the strike, and finally assessing the battle damage.
And the RFPs clearly demonstrate that the PLA wants AI integrated into almost every single link of that chain.
Let's break this down by domain, starting with the sea, because the maritime targeting requests in this dataset are incredibly aggressive.
They really are. The maritime domain focus is entirely asymmetric, isn't it?
It is. The PLA is not trying to match the U.S. Navy ship for ship. Instead, they're aggressively seeking technologies to neutralize specific U.S. naval advantages.
Most notably in the realm of submarines.
Right.
Now, U.S. nuclear submarines are famously the quietest, most elusive assets on the planet. They were the ultimate stealth weapon. So how do these RFPs suggest the PLA plans to hunt them?
Through AI-enhanced underwater acoustic target recognition.
Acoustic target recognition.
Yeah.
Because sound travels much faster and further in water than in air, making acoustics the primary method for detecting subs.
Exactly. The PLA is requesting algorithms capable of fusing massive amounts of sonar data to identify specific subsea assets.
They want AI that can filter out the ambient noise of the ocean and isolate the specific acoustic signature of a hostile submarine.
They are even requesting AI to render 3D images of small underwater targets based on multi-sensor fusion, and they want machine learning to directly improve the target homing performance of their torpedoes.
Just think about the sheer computing power required for that. The ocean is not a quiet place.
Not at all. You have seismic activity, shifting ice.
Commercial shipping lanes, marine life, all of it creating a chaotic wall of sound.
Right.
And you are taking a faint, blurry acoustic ping bouncing through that chaos, feeding it into a neural network, and asking the AI to instantly differentiate between a whale, a civilian freighter, and a Virginia-class attack submarine.
And then instantly tell a torpedo where to go. That is a monumental technical mountain to climb.
It really is. And moving from the sea to the land, the technical challenges are equally daunting, right?
Absolutely. The land targeting RFPs focus heavily on what they call spatiotemporal analysis.
Which means tracking objects over both space and time to establish a pattern of life.
Precisely. But the most revealing requests involve AI designed to decamouflage personnel and equipment.
Decamouflage. So they are moving beyond simple visual cameras.
They are. They are asking for systems that utilize hyperspectral imaging.
Oh, this is fascinating. Let's explain how that works, because it's a game changer for land warfare.
Go for it.
Okay, so human eyes and standard cameras only see light in 3 bands, red, green, and blue.
Right.
But hyperspectral sensors divide the electromagnetic spectrum into hundreds of narrow, continuous bands.
So how does that apply to camouflage?
Well, let's say a squad of soldiers is hiding under a green camouflage net in a forest. To a human observer, or a regular drone camera, the green net blends perfectly with the green leaves.
Because it's all just green.
Exactly. But to a hyperspectral sensor, the chemical signature of the synthetic polymer in the camouflage net reflects light entirely differently than the chlorophyll in the living leaves next to it.
Oh, wow. So the AI analyzes that spectral data and instantly highlights the synthetic material on the commander's screen.
Yeah, the camouflage is just mathematically stripped away.
That's incredible. And they want AI to remove that background clutter completely, allowing missiles to guide themselves directly to the target with zero human intervention.
And they want to close the entire targeting loop with AI-driven battle damage assessment, too.
Right, the RFPs request algorithms capable of taking panoramic images from drone cameras immediately after a strike,
and automatically calculating the structural damage to a building or a vehicle.
instantly informing the commander if a second strike is required.
Its efficiency taken to a terrifying extreme. But the physical targeting doesn't stop at the atmosphere. We have to talk about space.
Space is a huge component. Publicly, China has always advocated for the peaceful use of outer space.
Right, but these procurement documents tell a very different, highly militarized story.
They do. The dataset includes highly specific requests for algorithms designed to determine the 3D orientation of space objects.
They want AI to track satellite orbits with extreme precision.
More importantly, they want automated systems to detect anomalies in those orbits.
Let's break down why an orbital anomaly is such a big deal for you listening. Satellites generally move in very predictable, mathematically defined paths.
They're just following physics.
Exactly. So if an adversary satellite suddenly fires its thrusters and changes its orbit, that is a massive red flag.
An unannounced maneuver could mean several things. The satellite might be maneuvering to evade a piece of space debris.
Or evading a perceived anti-satellite threat.
Right. It might be altering its orbit to pass over a new geographic location to gather intelligence.
Or, most alarmingly, it could be an offensive space weapon positioning itself for an attack on another satellite.
Having an AI that continuously monitors the orbits of thousands of objects and automatically flags a sudden hostile maneuver is a critical capability for space warfare.
They even requested algorithms that would allow their own low Earth orbit satellites to autonomously detect and track adversary satellites in higher orbits.
So we have a really clear picture of how they plan to hunt physical targets. Submarines in the ocean, troops hiding in the jungle, satellites spinning in orbit.
But as you dig deeper into the CSAT report, the focus shifts entirely. We leave the physical domain behind and enter the cognitive domain.
This is arguably the most alarming dimension of their procurement strategy.
The PLA isn't just trying to figure out how to destroy a tank. They're trying to figure out how to hack the human mind.
Right. The PLA views cognitive domain operations as a primary theater of future conflict.
Because the objective isn't kinetic destruction. The objective is to shape narratives, erode the adversary's public morale, and directly influence the decision-making processes of political elites.
It's psychological warfare, but supercharged and automated by artificial intelligence.
Let's talk about the specific requests here, starting with synthetic media, specifically deepfakes.
We all know what deepfakes are. We've all seen the funny AI videos of politicians saying ridiculous things on social media.
But the PLA's approach to this is frighteningly systematized. They aren't just downloading a commercial app that swaps faces.
No, they put out an RFP for an intelligent deepfake system.
And the technical specifications for this system are comprehensive.
They want an AI platform that automatically scrapes open source media from across the global internet. Videos, audio clips, static images, and text.
In at least 10 different languages, right?
Yes, 10 languages. And the system's purpose is to organize all of this raw data into a massive fake sample library.
A library of raw materials for industrial-scale digital forgery.
Exactly. And the RFP explicitly specifies that the system must support cross-modal retrieval.
Which means an intelligence officer doesn't need to be a video editing expert.
Right. They can just type a text prompt into the system.
Something like, generate a video of this specific U.S. general standing in this specific room, saying that the war is lost in Mandarin.
And the AI instantly pulls the general's facial data from the library, clones his voice perfectly from past interviews, generates the background, and outputs a photorealistic forgery in seconds.
That is wild. The documents specifically request the ability to seamlessly replace heads and faces in existing high-definition videos.
Interestingly, they are simultaneously investing heavily in the defensive side of this technology, too.
They are.
Yeah, they put out multiple RFPs for deepfake detection mechanisms, requesting benchmark datasets and multiple detection models.
Well, I guess that makes sense. If you are developing advanced offensive cognitive weapons, you need to ensure your own leadership isn't fooled when the adversary inevitably uses the same tactics against you.
Exactly. But generating a fake video is only half the battle. You have to get people to watch it.
And you have to make sure it actually changes their mind. That's where their information campaign RFPs come in.
They show a massive demand for LLM-powered systems designed to analyze internet-wide cognitive domain information.
So they want AI platforms capable of mapping the topology of entire social networks.
They are looking to simulate exactly how information and strategically crafted disinformation spreads through a target population,
By modeling the social circles of key individuals or demographic groups, they can see how public opinion evolves in real time.
allowing them to pinpoint the specific cognitive vulnerabilities of a society.
I mean, it's like an enormously weaponized version of the algorithm that runs your favorite social media app.
That's a great way to think about it.
Because a commercial algorithm maps your viewing habits, figures out what keeps your attention, and perfectly tailors a feed to sell you a pair of running shoes.
Right. The military version maps a society's fractures, figures out what makes them angry or afraid.
And perfectly tailors a feed of synthetic media to sell them on the futility of resisting a military blockade.
We actually have concrete, real-world examples of this strategy already being deployed. The CSAT report notes China's recent use of cognitive targeting against Taiwan.
Oh, right. They engaged in a highly coordinated doxing campaign, publishing the personal private information of nearly 20 Taiwanese military officers.
Doxing feels like such an internet troll tactic, but when deployed by a state actor, it's devastating.
You expose where an officer's children go to school, you expose their financial records. The goal is to terrorize the individual and broadly undermine the morale of the entire armed forces.
They also requested systems for social engineering technique simulation.
Which is human hacking, right? Tricking someone into handing over a secure password or clicking a malicious link in an email.
Yes, they wanted AI to run thousands of simulations to find the absolute most effective psychological trick to manipulate a human being.
I want to pause here and just play devil's advocate for a moment because this is something you listening might be wrestling with.
Sure.
Is this actually effective as a true military weapon? Or is this just highly advanced, state-sponsored internet trolling? Can a nation actually win a war with fake videos and targeted harassment?
This raises an important question because it cuts to the core of how the modern definition of winning is shifting.
Okay, how so?
To the PLA, cognitive operations are not trolling. They are a highly efficient, low-risk mechanism to achieve strategic objectives.
Yeah, so if you can utilize AI to map a society's internal political fractures.
And inject perfectly tailored synthetic media that exacerbates those exact fractures.
And paralyze the political elite's ability to form a consensus and make a decision. You might achieve your political goals without ever firing a kinetic weapon.
Exactly. Why risk losing a billion-dollar warship or a squadron of fighter jets if you can just break the adversary's will to fight through their smartphones?
It's Sun Tzu updated for the AI age. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting.
Absolutely. But here is the catch.
What's the catch?
To execute these cognitive operations, to train the deepfake models and map the social networks, and to target the physical assets like submarines and satellites, you need an endless, continuously updating stream of raw material.
You need data.
You need mountains of data. And that requirement drives their massive investment in intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or ISR.
So let's turn the page to ISR. It is the absolute foundation of situational awareness, right?
It is the continuous, unrelenting process of observing the operating environment. And the PLA is looking to AI to radically expand both what they can observe and how fast they can process it.
The cross-cutting intelligence RFPs reveal a demand for systems that fuse text, video, infrared, hyperspectral imagery, and radio signals into a single stream.
And one highly specific request stood out in the ISR section. They asked for an AI system capable of the rapid, intelligent translation of Ukrainian and English documents and images.
The inclusion of Ukrainian language translation in RFPs spanning 2023 to 2024 is highly significant.
It clearly indicates that the PLA is aggressively studying the ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe.
They're just hoovering up open-source documents, battle reports, drone footage, and technical manuals.
To learn real-time lessons about modern drone warfare, electronic jamming, and combined arms operations, using AI to translate and synthesize the data instantly.
But their ISR ambitions extend far beyond traditional battlefields. Let's look at maritime domain awareness, or MDA.
The PLA wants AI to map the seabed. They want machine learning models to predict tides, ocean currents, and sea fog.
But the most revealing detail is their request for AI to characterize the steady state of underwater ocean noise.
This touches on one of the most sophisticated concepts in modern surveillance: baselining.
We talked earlier about the difficulty of finding a hyper-quiet U.S. nuclear submarine. The traditional method is to actively look for the submarine.
But the new method is to look at the ocean itself.
Break down the physics of that for us. How do you find a submarine without actually looking for it?
You use AI to learn exactly what the ocean normally sounds like.
Okay.
You deploy massive distributed sensor networks across the seabed and on autonomous surface vessels. These sensors collect relentless streams of data on salinity
And
levels.
thermoclines, right, which
Mhm.
are layers of water with different temperatures that refract sound waves differently.
Exactly. And global surface temperatures. You feed all of that immense environmental data into an AI model.
And over time, the AI learns the baseline acoustic profile of the ocean.
It learns the exact acoustic signature of a pod of whales, the sound of tectonic plates shifting, the rumble of a distant cargo ship.
Decision, it stops trying to actively track a submarine.
It just listens for the anomaly. It flags the tiny acoustic shadow or the slight disruption in the thermocline. That shouldn't be there.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means the definition of military intelligence has expanded to include tracking fish migrations and ocean salinity.
Because if you know exactly how the fish move, you know when a metal tube moving quietly through the water isn't a fish. The anomaly becomes the target.
They're applying this exact same baselining philosophy to space domain awareness, too.
They aren't just tracking the physical location of satellites. They are using AI to predict the capabilities, payloads, and sensor reach of foreign satellites.
Furthermore, they want algorithms for space weather forecasting,
Yeah.
specifically predicting solar flares and coronal mass ejections.
Now, why does the military care about space weather?
Because space weather directly impacts the electromagnetic spectrum, right?
Exactly. A significant solar flare can degrade or completely black out satellite communications and early warning radar arrays on Earth.
If you have an AI model that accurately predicts a solar storm will degrade U.S. military satellite communications over the Pacific for a 2-hour window, you have just been handed a massive tactical advantage.
You know exactly when your adversary will be blind and deaf.
It's the pursuit of environmental omniscience. They're trying to build a machine that understands the physical reality of the planet better than anyone else.
But the PLA's data collection isn't just focused on foreign oceans and outer space.
No, it's not. As the CSAT report clearly details, a massive portion of this surveillance technology is focused inward. The PLA is surveilling its own people.
This section of the dataset blurs the line between traditional military defense and mass domestic control.
While the PLA's primary mandate is the external defense of the nation, they exhibit a deep institutional paranoia regarding insider threats.
And ideological purity and base security.
The RFPs for physical-based security read like something out of a cyberpunk novel. We aren't talking about a guy in a guard shack with a clipboard and a flashlight here.
Not at all. One RFP for a single integrated security system requested over 1,000 cameras, including wearable pinhole cameras for personnel.
It requested 130 pairs of smart translation glasses for the guards, and over 250 drones just to patrol the perimeter of a single facility.
And the biometric requirements attached to these cameras are staggering.
They requested facial recognition systems specifically designed and trained to identify individuals whose faces are partially obscured by masks.
They want anti-spoofing night vision cameras to prevent someone from using a photograph to fool a scanner.
One RFP demands the algorithmic capability to identify a person with 97% accuracy using only a 60-degree side profile shot.
That means the AI doesn't even need to see your full face. It can identify you by the geometry of your jawline and cheekbone from an angle.
They want systems capable of tracking 350 moving vehicles simultaneously in real time, and the hardware requirements to support this. They're asking for localized servers capable of storing 5 million faces and 5 million license plates.
But I want to focus on the digital surveillance aspect because this is where the inward focus seems almost obsessive.
We usually think of the military looking outward. Why is the PLA requesting tools to see if someone is playing illegal online poker on WeChat?
To understand this, you have to understand the PLA's strict mandate to ensure total domestic stability and ideological conformity within its ranks.
So to the PLA command structure, a soldier with hidden online gambling debts is not just a disciplinary issue.
It is a profound national security vulnerability. That soldier is susceptible to bribery or blackmail by a foreign intelligence service.
A soldier using an illegal VPN to bypass the Great Firewall and access Western news is considered an ideological threat.
The AI tools are being deployed to continuously automatically audit the loyalty, financial stability, and vulnerability of their own personnel.
There was one detail in the digital surveillance section that absolutely stopped me in my tracks.
Which one was that?
They requested an LLM-powered internet monitoring system specifically designed to detect early signs of infectious disease outbreaks based purely on network data and social media chatter.
They're essentially trying to build an AI early warning system for the next COVID-19 by monitoring the specific symptoms people are typing into search engines or complaining about in private messaging apps.
It is a comprehensive, inescapable dragnet. And while the official documentation states these tools are strictly for securing military bases and auditing personnel, we must acknowledge the dual-use nature of this technology.
The capabilities developed and refined here are inherently applicable to mass civilian surveillance.
For example, the dataset included specific requests for portable deepfake systems and robotic surveillance dogs to be deployed in regions like Tibet.
Right, Tibet, an area where the Chinese government has a heavily documented history of intense population control and severe human rights concerns.
The military develops and funds the bleeding-edge technology, but it seamlessly bleeds into domestic policing and state control.
So all of these cameras, sensors, and deepfake libraries generate mountains of data, petabytes of data, every single hour.
How does the PLA move that data? How do they protect their own data from being hacked? And how do they plan to hack their adversaries' data?
That brings us to communications, computers, and cyber.
Right, cyber and communications represent the plumbing of the modern battle space.
Let's start with how they move data. We discussed drone swarms earlier. To coordinate 80 autonomous drones, you need an autonomous broadband network that can heal itself.
If 3 drones acting as communication relays are shot down, the network must instantly reroute the signal through other nodes.
The PLA is actively requesting AI-enabled tools to manage these highly dynamic, self-healing mesh networks.
They're also highly focused on controlling the electromagnetic spectrum. They want AI that can detect ultra-shortwave signals using machine learning, allowing them to pinpoint the location of enemy radios.
And they want algorithms specifically designed to automatically jam or interfere with satellite communications.
Because if they can blind the satellites, they sever the data link, turning an advanced F-35 fighter jet into an isolated, very expensive piece of metal.
But the cyber domain is where the application of AI becomes incredibly aggressive.
In terms of cyber defense, the PLA is requesting tools that use AI to visualize massive amounts of network traffic, making it vastly easier for human operators to spot the subtle patterns of an intrusion.
They're also requesting platforms for active defense.
I want to explain this concept because it represents a major shift in cybersecurity. Traditional cybersecurity is static defense.
It's putting a heavy deadbolt on your front door, locking the windows, and hoping the locks hold when a burglar tries to break in.
The active defense is entirely different. It's like building a fake house next door to your real house. This is what cybersecurity experts call a honeypot.
You build the fake house, you leave the window slightly open, and you wait for the burglar to climb in.
Once the burglar is inside the fake house, the AI springs the trap. It studies the digital tools the burglar is using, it analyzes their behavior,
It traces their IP signal back to find out where they're operating from.
and then it automatically updates the locks on every single real house in your network to make them immune to those specific tools.
Building on that analogy, the RFPs explicitly ask for automated threat hunting capabilities, honeypots, and attack origin tracing.
They want the AI to dynamically generate counter-strategy templates based on the intruder's behavior,
Yeah.
effectively automating the defense of their networks.
But the most mind-blowing detail in this entire 9,000 document dataset, the clue that hints at a massive long-term strategic operation, is found in the cryptography requests.
Yes, this is a highly specific technical detail that reveals profound intent.
The RFPs show the PLA is requesting AI systems designed to stress test encryption standards.
Now, militaries testing the strength of their own encryption is standard procedure, but the PLA specifically requested AI tools to test the Misty 1 encryption standard.
As well as older Feistel ciphers.
Let's break down the science and history of why that is so significant. What exactly is Misty 1?
Misty 1 is a block cipher, a type of cryptographic standard that was heavily used by the government and industries of Japan. Well, from roughly 2003 to 2013.
It is based on a Feistel network structure. The current global gold standard for encryption is AES. Misty 1 is obsolete.
So the critical question is, Why is the PLA in 2024 requesting advanced AI tools to test a defunct Japanese encryption standard from 2 decades ago?
Because they aren't just trying to crack today's live communications.
Exactly. It strongly implies they are executing a harvest now, decrypt later strategy.
For decades, major intelligence agencies have been sweeping up massive troves of encrypted communications over the internet.
Even if they couldn't read the files at the time, they stored them in massive server farms, waiting for computing power to catch up.
By applying modern machine learning to analyze the key schedules and mathematical structures of older Feistel ciphers, the AI might find vulnerabilities that human cryptographers missed.
The clear implication is that the PLA is building AI tools to churn through decades of historical intercepted data from foreign governments.
They are using AI to unlock history. Think about the implications of that.
It's massive.
If the PLA can suddenly read every classified diplomatic cable, every military logistics report, and every intelligence dossier sent by a rival government between 2003 and 2013, it is an absolute intelligence goldmine.
You expose the identities of deeply embedded spies. You learn the long-term strategic plans of your adversaries.
You uncover the personal secrets, the affairs, the financial troubles of junior officials from 2005 who are now sitting in high-ranking, powerful positions today. It is a terrifying prospect.
And while they are looking to the past, they are also aggressively preparing for the future. The dataset includes specific requests for quantum-resistant cryptography testing.
They know that when large-scale quantum computers finally arrive, their immense processing power will instantly shatter traditional encryption standards like AES.
The PLA is using AI to prepare for a post-quantum cyber warfare environment, ensuring their own critical networks can survive the inevitable leap in global computing power.
It is genuinely staggering to step back and look at the sheer scope of this procurement. We've covered the entire C5 ISRT wish list.
We've gone from AI predicting global political protests to acoustic algorithms hunting silent submarines.
To deepfake generators scraping the internet, to neural networks decrypting 20-year-old Japanese emails.
So we have the blueprint. What are the consequences?
What does all of this actually mean for the United States, for global security, and for you, the listener? Let's zoom out to our final section, the takeaways.
The first major takeaway is the reality of asymmetric warfare.
China is targeting specific U.S. advantages here.
The PLA recognizes that matching the U.S. military ship for ship, or fighter squadron for fighter squadron, is incredibly difficult and expensive. Instead, they are surgically targeting specific U.S. advantages.
The intense focus on undersea acoustic baselining and space anomaly detection is a direct, calculated response to American dominance in nuclear submarines and satellite architecture.
The goal is to blind the eyes and deafen the ears of their primary rival before a single shot is fired.
And then there's the concept of the signaling crisis. This is the aspect of the CSET report that kept me up at night.
It's a very real concern.
In traditional diplomacy and military strategy, nations use signaling to communicate intent and avoid accidental wars. If the United States wants to show it is serious about defending an ally, it might sail an aircraft carrier task force into the region or hold a joint military exercise.
It's a physical signal designed to be interpreted by human leaders in rival nations, allowing them to de-escalate a crisis through mutual deterrence.
But if the PLA is handing its situational awareness over to an AI DSS, an algorithm that is simultaneously ingesting millions of tweets, news articles, economic fluctuations, and radar pings to predict enemy intent, how do you signal an algorithm?
The terrifying truth is you might not be able to. AI systems, even the most advanced multimodal foundation models, are prone to hallucinations.
They can misinterpret data, strip context, or find false correlations that don't actually exist.
Imagine a scenario where a U.S. carrier group moves for a routine exercise, and entirely by coincidence, there is a viral disinformation campaign spreading on a local social media network.
A human analyst might recognize the disconnect, but an AI fusion system might synthesize those two unrelated data points, calculate a high probability of attack, and tell the Chinese high command that an invasion is imminent.
Placing AI in the driver's seat of situational awareness for nuclear-armed militaries drastically increases the risk of accidental escalation.
It creates a mathematical hair trigger.
Which underscores the absolute urgency for international dialogue. Just as there are treaties governing nuclear proliferation, the U.S. and China desperately need to establish technical minimum standards and norms regarding the use of AI in command and control.
We need safeguards to prevent a mathematically generated misunderstanding from initiating World War III.
The report also points out the intense pressure this rapid iteration strategy puts on U.S. acquisition reform.
The U.S. has established branches like the Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU, to try and bring fast-moving commercial tech into the military sphere.
But the Pentagon is still struggling to fundamentally alter its procurement DNA to match the sheer speed of China's 3 to 6 month RFP cycles.
And finally, we cannot ignore the incredibly complex role of export controls. The RFPs reveal an uncomfortable truth for Western policymakers.
The PLA's intelligentization drive is being fueled in part by American hardware.
The procurement documents show the PLA explicitly seeking advanced chips designed by U.S. companies like NVIDIA and AMD to power their AI models.
Furthermore, they are utilizing open-source Chinese large language models like those from DeepSeek, which were originally trained on massive cloud-based clusters of U.S. GPUs.
It complicates the policy landscape immensely. You can pass legislation to cut off the supply of advanced chips, but the technology is so ubiquitous and the global commercial sector is so fluid that the military applications invariably slip through the cracks via shell companies or cloud computing access.
You know, you started this deep dive wondering what a modern military buys when it goes shopping for artificial intelligence. Now you know.
It doesn't just buy a shiny new killer robot. It buys an entire ecosystem.
It buys everything from automated deepfake generators to historical code breakers to algorithmic undersea anomaly detectors.
It buys the tools to understand the world with perfect clarity and the tools to completely manipulate it.
And that is the true essence of the transition from informatization to intelligentization. It's no longer just about possessing the data. It's about possessing the algorithm that makes the data lethal.
We want to thank you for joining us for this masterclass and for sticking with us through this deep dive into the CSET report.
It's been quite the journey.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final concept to mull over, a thought that builds on the implications of everything we've just discussed.
Let's hear it.
We started this session talking about the black box of military strategy and how these 9,000 RFPs blew the doors off that vault.
We've seen how the PLA wants AI to fuse global data, predict geopolitical events, map the social networks of their adversaries, and track submarines by listening to the silence of the ocean.
But think about the sheer speed at which this environment is evolving. If future conflicts are going to be fought by AI systems detecting anomalies in ocean thermoplanes,
Instantly generating perfectly tailored deepfake counter-narratives to paralyze public response.
and executing active cyber defenses in milliseconds, it raises a chilling possibility.
What's that?
By the time a human leader actually receives a translated intelligence report, sits down at a desk, convenes a cabinet, and decides to officially declare war,
Yeah.
the algorithmic battle might already be over.
The victor might already be decided in the digital ether before a single human soldier knows the war has begun.
Who is really in command when the ODA loop moves at the speed of light? Keep asking questions. We'll see you on the next deep dive.